Why, hello, everybody. We are back at it once again. It is that time for us to sit down, chat, discuss, yap, and definitely debrief on a champions meeting. More specifically, this time around, champions meeting 16, aka Leo Cup 2. It also has another nickname, but we'll talk about that later in the video. So, really appreciate you guys if you can go ahead and like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and I hope always do appreciate it. So let's get down to brass tacks, I guess. Almost. Now for the agenda, not too different from the rest of them, apart from the conclusion side of things. I can tell you that. But yep, once again, we're going to be doing a brief overview of the meeting, my approach, the Musume I've chosen, what happened for each of the days and such, the strengths and weaknesses of my team, the improvements I could have done, going over the results again possibly, but of course, the extended conclusion for this time around. Let's get into this one. So this is the brief overview of the meeting or the cup. So Leo Cup does feature Nakayama turf, 12 meters. It's a sprint race, yes. Right-handed. Summer season, firm and sunny condition, or sunny and firm condition. And you can see what it comprised of. And this uphill is definitely one of those key parts, right, of this entire race. Especially this whole final leg kind of part. Very important. But also, little funny fact. I mean, I guess it's very similar to the sprinter stakes, if you want to think of it that way. All right, let's get into now the actual brass tacks of things. All right, so my approach though was completely rocked by um the January 1st patch, as we all knew or did not know that we had quite a bit more than we expected. So pretty much, yeah, so pretty much we had track placer dethroned thanks to a big update to Unity Cup, our old friend, now called Unity Cup 2.0. And so with that, because of how Trackblazer was to everybody or most people, and this update right here coming into play, right at the tail end of Trackblazer's era, Leo Cup 2 basically became Unity 2.0 Cup, or you can also call it Unity Cup 2.0 Cup. That's pretty much what happened here. But meanwhile, otherwise the focus was still pretty much more or less the same. We were building aces, but then we have the focus on making pace chasers and late surgers exclusively because it's just how this course worked. Cheer Halo was once again the returning Oshi pick, but this time around is a late surger, or was. And definitely was a good choice on that. I think her being a late surger worked better than her being an end closer, as a lot of people were, brushing up that during the mile race CM or whatever. But anywho, lots of skills to grab, of course. That was another important thing to take into mind, especially the mids and the straights to keep in mind, which I honestly sort of failed on this one, on this part, the straight skills. during the champions meeting, I actually had to make a fix, but we'll talk more about that. Key skills to inherit were Budding Blossom and Shooting for Victory. So the Uma Musume I did choose was none other than, of course, Oguri Cap as one of my ace, Cheer Halo as the Oshi, and the other one, of course, making her return once again, is Taiki Shuttle. I kind of had a curse running Taiki Shuttle, but we were gonna make it work. So, oh yeah, and then sorry, the you can see the parents, the legacy parents, being Ryan and Nishino Flower. Very, very, very important step. Okay, so anyway, the Uma Musume I did raise up to this point, right before the race. You can see right here. Some skills are off the screen, but this is most of the skills you can see. And the stats right here, I did honestly get a little overboard with the stamina, but only because I did run Riko Kashimoto, the PAL card. She made a return, which honestly was probably unnecessary. I would have been better off running another just whatever card to fill in, because she does provide the guts, which is fine, but I'd rather just fill that in with another card then, for extra skills, possibly raise whatever skills that are lacking. Okay. But funny enough, before I go on, actually, I actually had this Ogre Cap first. He was this particular one was the very first one that went into the Union Cup 2, and these were the stats I got, and she automatically became my first UG Uma ever, like right off the bat with Unity Cup part number 2, and then followed by Taiki Shuttle and Halo. Took a couple tries with her with Halo, but got this one. And then as you can see with the Taikis, went through quite a bit of builds during the CM, not before it. But there was one, of course, I stuck to most, of course. And that is the one on the left, which is the one that says Leo Cup. Sprint S, all that stuff. You can look at the stats, see the skills, get an idea, and all that fun stuff. But these are the Taikis I kind of went through over this course.
待機シャトル第4コーナーカーブここからスパート一気にレースが動きますまだ差がここから先頭を捉える子は着の的は外しません最終コーナー先陣を取ったのはマルゼンスキーまだ1馬身以上の差があるぞ勝利もつかめ3番待機シャトル並びかけてきた私の全力だ
Okay, everyone's locking in. Everyone's locking in. Yes, we did it, guys, on the carrot run. We did it. I was just doing it for the drama. It was all for the drama. We were drawing it out. When I make it interesting, it was literally back and forth like the whole way.
So going into the race, what the hell happened? Now, as you can see right here, you can see that my Umas won. 2 of them were Taikis victories. And then I think one of them was Halos, if I'm accurate. This is funny enough though, right at the end though. So I believe this is during the carrot run. We burned the carrot quite a bit, this one. But we made it through nonetheless for day 1. This is just day 1. We barely got it actually. So pretty lucky on that part. So day one, continuing, we were pretty much going through this with just losses, wins, and then the loss at the end. Definitely felt like a coin toss for day one at least. We just kept losing the home stretch. That was really down to that part for a lot of times. And then, of course, it was really all about being at the right place at the right time, sort of vibes. You know, who can get into third and fourth and then proc whatever skills around that corner. And how much speed carry over you can get out of the that moment and how you launch into the late race. But nonetheless, needless to say that we did pull through in the end. And we did flex. I did a lot of flexing on that one, like literally, to give my Uma enough luck and power to pull through. It's a bit of a meme, but you know, something we do on the stream. Round one, day two, though, was a little rougher, to say the least. We did get one win out of one of the tickets or whatever. That was happening a little more often. So yeah, we definitely got lucky on day one. And that was the moment I was inspired to fix the Taiki I was running with to another one. And that was the one that said Leo Cup. That's the one I stuck to the most.
そしてその後方にはキングヘイロー第4コーナーカーブ
内から来るか外から来るか最後の局面です。
まだ1馬身以上の差があるぞここから捉えることができるのか
Okay. Okay.
中山の作戦は短いぞ後ろの形は間に合うか互いに足を止めている展開勝利もつかめ7番第1セットです私の全力だ残り207番第1セットです苦しいけど粘っているオグリカップここで抜け出した
Let's go. Let's go.
勝ったのはオグリカップ
Let's go.
ライバルに打ち勝ち見事大きな1勝を手にしました2着は2番第1シャトル
Woo!
よし
Woo! Yes. Woo!
And then day one, yeah, I don't know how that happened, but anyway, we'll roll with it. Round two, day one. What the heck happened here? We qualified into Group A finals. But here's what happened. So, we switched to Taikis first off. It kind of worked, but still no cigar. I think that was like Taiki number 1 or something like that. It was getting pretty rough until I switched to the last Taiki. I kind of went into that mentality again of like, you know, we got into Group B finals. Might as well switch around, see what happens. So I went to the last Taiki, which is the one that said Leo Cup, right? The reason why I saved that for last was because I thought having no groundwork would have fried her, or she would have been cooked, you know, lacking that groundwork. But again, coming out of the gate, it is a lot of luck, and she had a ignited spirit wit and shrewd step, which is like a meme as a groundwork substitute. But somehow it was enough for her to get into position, do her thing, and get us into Group A finals. In fact, on that very last run, of course, once again, a carrot run, Taiki, Halo, and Ogre all took each a win to get us into Group A finals. Yeah, it was definitely a magical tiebreaker type of moment there. We had those moments again. Round 2, day 2, we were cruising, quote unquote, huge, strong quotes, cruising. But it was still pretty rough. We did have a tiebreaker at some point. We still lost that one. and then the rest of them were like either 2 wins or like just like 1 win. It was pretty rough. We even did an extra carrot run, which I usually don't do, but I use that as like a sacrifice to throw my carrot into the wishing well type of thing. That was essentially my sort of last, sort of quote unquote desperate opium tactic to kind of give myself a better mind space, if that makes sense, if that's a term for it, going into Group A finals, hoping I can just kind of add a little bit more to my luck to win it. And basically, what happened here for Group A finals, we actually won it, guys. Unbelievable.
Okay, I hope we don't get double late start. Oh my goodness. I'll set up for 1 at least, as long as I get a close race. Oh boy. Okay. Oh boy. Here goes nothing, boys. Leo Cup Finals. Here we go. Oh.
ついに大舞台の幕が開けます。レオ杯決勝。3番人気にはここまで
Oh yeah, that's right, that's right. Thank you for the reminder.
7番カレンちゃん、2番
Give me the flex emotes, guys.
ここまで無敗、2代マイル戦4番オグリキャップ。威風堂々とスタートを待つ
Okay, at least two of my girls are number 1 and 2. That's all. That gives me some false hope.
気合十分いい顔してますね。
各馬娘ゲートに入って体勢整いました。
We need the flex emotes.
今スタートが切られました。各馬娘綺麗なスタート。
There we go. There we go. Thank you too. Thank you. Okay, I kind of missed the start, but Oguri is in 4th, so it's something. Okay, now she's jumping up to. Oh shit. Okay. This is kind of an ugly one.
2番手の位置で先頭を伺うのは5番ミホノブルボン、7番カレンちゃん、並んできた。そのうち並んで待機シャトル、そして4番オグリキャップ、1馬審査、9番カレンちゃん、第4コーナーカーブ。
ここからスパート、一気にレースが動きます。
Oh, too early.
どのタイミングで誰が仕掛けるのか。最後のコーナー、最初に駆け抜けてきたのは1番ミホノブルボン、内から仕掛けるのは6番ピンクヘイロー、第1シャトル、並びかけてきた。残り200、先頭第1シャトル、しかしその差はわずか。第1シャトル、足色は衰えない。
Yes.
2番抜けてゴールイン。優勝は第1シャトル。走りでレオ杯を見事に制しました。2着には6番キングヘイロー、3着1番ミホノブルボン。次のレースも飾らなあきま。
Yes. Yes. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, this looks funny. Gosh. Yes, look at that. Yes. Yo, look at that. Yes. Yes. Oh, this is so cool. You're right. I barely like saw it. Not even at all. Don't say that, hero. Don't say that. You gotta fight. You gotta fight to win. Yes. Oh, this is so nice. Oh my god. Dude, I can't believe it. I can't believe I won. Sing it, girl. Come on. Oh, man. So sick. Oh, it's so sick. Oh my god. We went through hell on this CM. Oh my god. Oh my god. Bro.
So it looks like the wishing well helped going into Group A finals. Yep. So we won. What happened was, so here's a bit of a step by step, but kinda. So Taiki late started actually, and then got into second just a tad early actually going into the late race. So we actually missed out on her shooting for victory. No guns. She did not pull out the gun. And then meanwhile, up to that point, Halo very unfortunately rushed early. So she lost her ability to proc her unique. Position wise, it didn't really matter, I don't think. Oguri was actually in fourth early, so it looked good for her, but then she just lost it. She just lost her positioning to other Uma. And she fell back out of the ideal position, which is 3 and 4. And unfortunately, Oguri just lost it. But regardless of all that, Taiki actually took the lead and won with enough skill procs right at that late race, pretty much. There was a random set of skills that did proc, and then just more skills just procced after. And actually, Halo even took second, almost won without the unique. And then Oguri flopped, pretty much, kind of, as a result of what happened during the mid race. But can't complain, you know. Halo took second, and Taiki became Miss Victoria pretty much for that race, thus winning us the entire thing for Leo Cup. Unbelievable. Another thing to add to what happened, I definitely think, upon watching the replay in the VOD on my own time, it just really came down to luck. The lobby itself, the Umas that were in there, had some glue-ish builds. I don't want to like go over every little bit of detail, but basically I had questions for some of those builds, including one of the currents and such like that. Even when Taiki did not do her thing with the guns, the other Uma somehow, it looked like they were proccing something, but I guess it just wasn't the right stuff, or I don't know, the skills they also needed didn't proc, because their launch into late race was not strong enough in the end. And everybody else flopped too, it looks like, because even my Halo, who rushed, got second. So that really tells me that everybody else flopped, and even almost Taiki as well, almost. But luckily, because everybody else somehow flopped, Taiki's speed carryover from whatever she procced there on that late race line was able to get her far enough to the front in the lead, and then enough skills were proccing on the final stretch that pretty much secured her win. Is how I see it, though. And my goodness, her singing Miss Victoria for the first time. This is the first race to have Miss Victoria this early. First off, that's a whole nother thing of itself. But yeah. It was glorious. But let's talk about the strengths of the team, which isn't much, and it's very much standard. So obviously, we just follow the sprint CM standards, lots of skills as much as we can, mid skills and home stretch for the most part. That was our focus. That was definitely our strongest point. And that's pretty much it. Our weaknesses, however, I can definitely talk about that stuff. We really, really had to rely on the luck. Right. And that is to also argue like this race, this whole entire CM could be, a race a race of skill or luck, which is RNG, right? I think it's a bit of both, right? At least a blend of both. But I still do think it's an large extent towards luck. But you still have to do your part, right? Put your brain into it. Obviously you don't want to like lack yourself on the stats, but also make sure you have enough of each area. So like the early race, mids, lates. Obviously you don't want to put too much in lates because that's like, what do you call diminishing returns? That's the word I'm looking for. Diminishing returns. And I think the whole thing about being too ahead or too behind is just a matter of luck. So you definitely still want to pump up on the mid skills because mid skills are still very important, and especially in a race like this, and especially if you want to get into a very specific position in order to proc. Obviously, another weakness is Halo rushing. That was, oh my goodness, that last race was one of the only times she did rush. She only rushed a few times in this entire CM. But unfortunately, that was the one, right? Yeah, again, right place at the right time. So this is they were very position dependent in a way. Maybe Halo not so much, but Ogre and Taiki, yes, because obviously 3 and 4, you want to stay in those positions and proc the uniques going into late race, along with whatever else can carry over, and then boom, hopefully that can happen. We did lose the home stretch quite a bit. Even with my Taiki's latest build, there were still times we were losing the home stretch. Very annoying too. We got robbed quite a bit of times. So I overall had a lot of bad luck. We just scraped by enough to get into the Group A finals. But we still won it though. But we could have had some improvements, which includes doing more runs with Ogre. I think honestly, I should have just gave it more time for Ogre, because that was the one Ogre I just went with. It was like the one and done for Ogre. The very first one, she got UG. I'm like, all right, yeah, that should be enough. That should have looked into again. Because Ogre also lacked the groundwork. So we got to make sure we have all parts recovered, including the early race, mid race, and late race. Especially getting groundwork is important. Now, you could say because I won, it's not entirely like high priority or whatever, like you have to, but it's still helpful, Another green skill or skill, whatever, that I should have really taken into consideration, especially if I'm gonna run Cheer Halo again in the future race, is to get restraint inherited into Halo. So I should have raised a parent that has restraint. So I should have worked on, I don't know, one of my late surgers and then make that into a parent with restraint from Tosho, right? Because she's the only one who has that green skill, which is why she's kind of important as a grandparent. at least in my situation anyway, so that she can get restraint. Therefore, really bringing down the rushing proc to a minimum. Either that, or we could have, changed the team formation a little bit. So maybe the better one in the end could have been 3 pacers. We could have actually made a special week, right? Regular special week into a sprint racer. I've seen it done, and she performed pretty well with their build, of course. Daiwa could have been another consideration, perhaps. But if we were to want to keep the lates, definitely should have been 2 lates, and then you have the 1 pace. I think Oguri could have been a late, and to help either Halo push or Halo help push Oguri. Because we're going to still have likely 2 Umas to pop off in their positions. And the third one always, like, it's kind of like the third wheel, at least in my case anyway. And if we're lucky enough, we could have 2 lates proc somehow, or at least enough with enough speed carryover to get a podium finish. We actually did get a podium finish at some point, so that's pretty cool. Even with just this team. So in conclusion, we can kind of go over what happened with each of the Uma a little bit. So Taiki, overall, despite not having groundwork, she was able to still get into position, take home some wins via final stretch procs. So actually, rebuilding the Taiki with more straight skills was actually kind of clutch, especially by the end of it. And that really paid off because we got the final win. And with that, she finally redeemed herself from me after so many of the cursed runs and CMs. Whenever I do run Taiki, she just never really brought it home. So I always had to switch out for a different Uma for certain CM, especially the early ones. But here, this time, we just stuck with it with Taiki, rebuild her a little bit in between, and it paid off. So I'm definitely proud of that in that regard. Oguri Cap, same thing almost. She had no groundwork, but still was able to get in a position, pop off enough, and clutch out some wins. She helped us get into Group A finals. So that's, in that regard, she helped us as well. Halo also clutched out in certain moments. And, same thing. She helped us get into the Group A final spot. And in fact, even by the end, she definitely put up a good fight. She got into second, almost took over my Taiki, and she could have been Miss Victoria. So either way, I could have won. But not to say that the opposition was right behind us or anything like that. I mean, some of them did put up a good fight, especially with the current. But we were fortunate enough that they didn't proc well enough. Because both Taiki and Halo didn't proc their uniques, but somehow they were able to just do it right. So again, that's why I kind of concluded that most of the other Uma also flopped, fell on their face kind of vibes, and that was enough for these two to take the top 2. So again, I got very, very lucky in that regard, but. Hey, that's what horse racing is. It's a lot of luck, beating the odds at times when you least expect it. That's all part of it. That's what makes horse racing very exciting in that regard. You just never know. So, conclusion part 2. More on the conclusion. Again, this sprint CM is very on the RNG side. Doesn't mean that you can only rely on RNG. You still have to put in the work, stuff like that. You can definitely see that this was against us, right? The odds wise. And then this isn't just me being generous, but I think based off of what we have here, puts us into a more of like a 30-70 position, or 70 no, excuse me, 30-70 odds, but being generous at bet the very best 40-60. Again, the odds were against us. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears that we went through, right, during the CM itself. The actual training was relatively relaxed until the end, because I was like kind of going into desperate mode, rebuilding Taiki. But I even tried to see if I can rebuild Oguri, but I just couldn't do it in time. But it's fine because we ultimately won in the end, so it's fine. This home stretch was very important. And along with speed carryover, and then you fighting on the hill, the uphill, very important. Very, very, very important. Another funny thing to add though is that guts is once again not that important. Like it's still nice to have, but don't make it such a, you know, forefront to raise the guts. Have like 1,000 and then like, you know, try to raise everything else, right? Like you still need speed, power, and wit for this race, and then do the guts. Because if you take a look back on my Taiki's guts, who won the whole thing, she only had 373. But you know, take that into mind. This CM I wanted to also add once again was that it was quite significant and unique due to the update, more ways than one. I guess it brought more motivation / interest for the player base. It was the door to get away from Trackblazer, because Trackblazer was just such a nightmare. It was too long. While it had the you know, kind of a unique gameplay structure of just racing a lot. It just took too long. It was a nightmare for anyone who's not strong in the mile races. If you're an end closer or a light surger, especially end closers early on. It was just overall a headache to put up with. Now, would I have put up Trackblazer one more time for this race? Sure. But the door was presented, I got out of there fast. And we were all on the Unity Cup 2.0 train for just this one CM, right? Of course, it's not to say that it's perfect. It's got its own problems, but it's still more tolerable than Trackblazer. One of the big problems with Unity Cup 2.0, or just Unity Cup in general, is that it has a lot of story events, which actually eats up a lot of your card support events. And your chain events also get eaten up as well. So there are times where, you know, Professor of Courage didn't even make it through. I've had a lot of moments where On Your Left was also not feasible. Even in fact, this the Halo that I went with for this entire CM, this Halo right here, did not have Professor of Curvature. And maybe that could have helped her get into better positions more, perhaps, but in the end, I mean, I guess it was still okay. But yeah, that was pretty annoying to put up with, but still, you can still finish your runs in 30 minutes or less, and you just see better numbers, so it's kind of worth it, but at the same time kind of annoying. So it kind of balances out almost, because you still you're kind of wind up doing 2 runs at least, which is an hour anyway. But hey, if you can get it in that one run, there you go, right? But at least, you know, it's more sticking to the familiar formula of, you know, just going through a couple races, like what, 12, and then that's it, right? For each of the Uma story. Anyway, you know, this will be the one CM, you know, like I said, to really, really have this particular scenario, Unity Cup 2.0, just being that main scenario. I don't know if we'll ever have this sort of event happen again, where, let's say, like, okay, hypothetically speaking, Grand Life sucks, and then we'll get Trackblazer 2.0, and then that somehow becomes the premier CM or the premier scenario for the last CM before Grandmasters or something like that. That honestly would be really funny if that happens. But I think we can say that that's kind of doubtful, but we just never know. The devs just have been throwing curveballs at us quite a bit in these last few weeks. Once again, this CM was the very first one to feature Miss Victoria, which is supposed to be supposedly be coming in 4 CMs later, but it just somehow for whatever reason made it through here. Personally, I love the song; it's so cool, but um, what just makes it special is just that you know if you win it, you see your Uma go up there and sing their lungs out, and seeing Taiki doing that, honestly, um, kind of put me into that state of like almost crying a bit, like welling up. But no, I just was very happy. I was just very happy to see my Taiki win it. You know, like little bit of real feelings or whatever. To be honest, kind of thing. Um, I definitely wanted to see Halo take it because she's more my Oshi than Taiki. But I think Taiki winning it was actually more appropriate because she deserves a win to redeem herself from my cursed runs with her. Whereas Halo already kind of got her a win. It just sadly it just didn't have Miss Victoria at the time, which was that 1 mile race or whatever mile CM. But just know that she could have, right? And that's fine. That's enough. So, Taiki taking it was great. Um, once that is in mind. So this was a very interesting transition going into Grand Live / Grand Concert. Very interesting, more ways than one. So now let's go expand on the conclusion a little bit. Let's actually do a little bit of a retrospective on the CMs during the quote-unquote Trackblazer era. Okay, starting all the way from Pisces, that was our very first one. Of course, it was a long race. We were still learning the goddamn scenario. It was very difficult in that regard. It was kind of hell, which shows right here. I won, or not even win. I got Group B finals and got third, so B third. Aries Cup, that was the first Oguri, Christmas Oguri CM, aka the Sasuke show, and then the Pisces Cup is pretty much Tenno show. Also, then when it unfortunately we did but we did win Group B part of things, so that's it's like a soft W, but not the victory I'm looking for, but it's something I guess. But it wasn't my Oguri that won it; it was digital. Funny enough. So yeah, we did not win the Sasuke show, you could say. Funny enough, Taurus Cup 2, that was the first one of like the repeating what do you call astro sign, whatever you want to call it. Came back as a different race, which pretty much represents Japanese Derby. And that was the one I won. Honestly, I think looking back on it, I think that was still my strongest performing CM. And cool because it's the Japanese Derby. I won the Japanese Derby, so that's like a really strong personal W for me. Especially thanks to Ghost Ship taking the first by the end. Of course, I really wanted my nice nature to win that one, but it was the one race that she really flopped, and she didn't even proc Dominator, so that was like even sadder with that. But it's fine because Ghost Ship won it. Gemini Cup 2, aka Yasuda Kinen, we won that one thanks to Cheer Halo. That was the one that she won. So, pretty nice because a lot of these cups I didn't win or whatever, especially well Taurus and Gemini. So grabbing those in the titles is actually pretty nice. Those plats, you know, now are in my collection. Yep. So we had a 2-win streak going with Japanese Derby and Yasuda Kinen. That sounds pretty cool when you say it like that, right? Now then came Cancer Cup 2. This was one of the roughest ones, definitely. But AKA Takarazuka Kinen. Uh, Despite that, we actually didn't do that bad in the grand scheme of things. Because if you look at it, it says a second, right? We thanks to Bourbon actually I think got us second, I believe. And you know, we were able to put up a better fight versus Sasuke show. Takarazuka it was sort of it was more of a redemption. We still didn't win it, but it was more of a redemption. We actually like really improved. So I take that as a soft W in a way. But I did run the big three, which is, you know, Oguri, Summer Marzinski, and Bourbon. So call that what you will, but that's what got me into a second. So, you know, it is what it is. Okay. But at least with this one, I still consider it part of the Trailblazer era because that's what it was supposed to be. But then we had the update, so it's kind of like this weird transitional part of the period or whatever you want to call it. But I'm still gonna call it. I still consider it a Trailblazer CM. So, Leo Cup 2, you already know that we won that one. It was a Sprinter Stakes, so grand scheme of things, when you look at it this way, since we have 6 races overall, we actually won half of them, right? Taurus Cup, Gemini Cup, and Leo Cup. So with that, we can conclude that, well, it was kind of a 50-50, right? So those odds I'll definitely take. That's honestly very nice to see if you know once you look at it that way. You know, and we actually went up from there. We actually started from the very bottom and then just went up slowly. A little bit of a hitch right here, and then we went back up again. But damn, we definitely got lucky on this one though. Bar none. But a win is a win. We take those. So it was actually really nice as I was like typing this out. I was like, oh wow, like I actually won half of these races, you know. And most of the other ones we didn't do that badly, apart from, well, of course, the one CM that we were still learning Trailblazer with, right? That one's pretty rough, you know. But it is what it is. I can only imagine what will happen with the Dirt Cup, the Dirt CM that's coming up. Okay. Speaking of which, though, for CM 17, yeah, that was a little funny little thing. This will be the first CM for Grand Concert Live, as I would like to call it. And once again, it's a ex Oguri Cup. So my ex Oguri will make a return once again. But also making her return is Digital. Agnes Digital is going to make it in here because it is a dirt race. So gotta pull out the Digital, right? And the third Uma was kind of a toss up. But I think I'm just gonna go with Fantasy Condor. I know she won't work entirely, but whatever. That's just my third one. You know. And then I'll build a debuff just in case it really doesn't work out. But that's gonna be my approach once again, is 3 aces and then maybe perhaps the 1 debuff. That's about it. Again, this is gonna be the dirtiest CM yet, bar none, because it's another Oguri race. First off, it's a dirt race that's medium. So you actually have to build it like it's a long race. So, once again, we have this stamina heavy CM as we are learning a new scenario. Happen again with Trackblazer. Now it's gonna happen here. Funny enough. So yeah. Also, it's gonna be double debuffs galore. It's gonna be hell in that regard. Because Summer Golshi is here, and her unique will help make it that hell, thanks to the 564 special. And so people are gonna build either Dominator Kenai, Mystifying Murmur Kenai. So I actually even thought about joining this whole double debuff train, but then I thought, you know what? I really like Digital enough for her to run again. I like seeing Digital do her thing. So she actually helped me pull out of that sort of thought. Because that almost honestly made me do that with the double debuff thing, which was a big mistake that I did for Satsuki Show. That's how I lost. And funny enough, when I switched to Digital, back to Digital, along with the Dober, Digital won me first place in B finals. So maybe it's a sign. It's that sort of fate kind of thing, you know, that I should run Digital. Maybe like a good luck charm almost for my Oguri. I haven't won any CM with Oguri just yet, you know. But maybe this will be the one somehow, even though this is like, it's gonna be such a tough CM. We're learning a new scenario. And we have this tough CM to go through. But gotta do it. Gotta give it a try. Do your best, and just do your thing. I have a little more confidence because I actually did my poll session very recently on the Agnes Tachyon and Light Hello banner, and after just right around 400 polls, I got not only Light Hello, I got Agnes Tachyon max limit broken. And on top of that, I got Light Hello also max limit broken in that same process. So I'm pretty damn set in that regard. But let's see how my luck turns up, how my skills turn up doing this freaking scenario. Will it be another ass scenario to go through? Probably a little more tolerable than Trackblazer, but we'll see how we fare for the rest of it until we get into Grandmaster. Oh boy. I'm actually gonna probably like Grandmaster because that's when my big Oshi, Mississippi, will make her debut. And I'm hoping that there's a CM for her to run in and maybe win it for me and sing Miss Victoria. But that'll be for another time. That'll be for the longer future. I'm not gonna have anyone else to pull for a while until Nakayama Festa, so we have a month and a half to wait and build up the carrots. And yeah, so we're in terms of carrots, we're pretty good. We saved a good 200 polls worth because I was like planning to do 600 polls, but we got everything that I needed in 400 polls. You know, so that put me into a very nice position on that. But I just have to do it. So I just have to actually pull through. Okay, so enough of that. Let's get into the last slide before we sign off. So like, comment, and subscribe really helps out, and I do really appreciate you guys. And let me ask you guys once again, you have any comments on this presentation or anything else relating to it? What are your thoughts on your own team that you ran for CM16? Your strengths, your weaknesses you noticed, and how will you approach the next CM? How will you approach the dirtiest CM yet? Let me know in the comment section below. And once again, thank you so much. And I have to say again, man, the CM, it felt pretty good, but man, the process, the journey was, man, I got through the trenches, but we got out of there victorious, man. So, all right. Thanks, GG's, and I will say good luck to your runs in Grand Concert. Hopefully you pull all your cards that you need from the Tachyon Hello banner. And hopefully your start of this new scenario will be a good one. We're now in a new era. We are in the Grand Concert era. No more Track Blazer, guys. That is done. That is over with. Probably still use it as a parent scenario, but even then, I don't know. And there's the auto run, of course. Yeah. All right. Thanks, and take care. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye bye. Ciao now.